We shall begin chapter 1 of Physics class 11 Physical World. What is physics? There is no particular definition, but we can say that physics is the study of basic laws of nature and their manifestation in different natural phenomena. So it is a study of laws of nature and their manifestation in different natural phenomena. For example, we can see every day we see the repetition of night and day. Morning sun rises, evening sun is setting. So this is a natural phenomena. We see many other phenomena, like in the night we see the twinkling of the stars. We see seasons are changing, eclipse taking place, rainbow in the sky. All these are natural phenomena and they are governed by some laws. So all these we study in physics. Now physics is a part of a science. So let us see what do we mean by science. Now science is a Latin verb. It means scientia. Okay, this is taken as from the Latin verb. It is scientia, and the meaning of this is to know. In Sanskrit it is Vignan and Arabic ilm, and all this means knowledge. Now let us define science. Science is a systematic attempt to understand natural phenomena in as much detail and depth as possible and use the knowledge so gained to predict, modify and control phenomena. This you can say that just like a definition of a science. Now we have got scientific method. Okay, to prove any theory or concept, we have to have some steps, some method. So that method is scientific method. It has got 6 steps. Let us study these one by one. Number 1, systematic observation. First we observe it. Okay, for example, let us see that water is always flowing from high to lower place. Okay, it always flows from slope. So we are observing this happens in the nature, so we are observing this is called systematic observation. Number 2 is control experiment. Then the same experiment we try to do in the laboratory. Okay, in the laboratory under the circumstances which we can control, in that we do the experiment of flowing of the water. Number 3, qualitative and quantitative reasoning. Qualitative reasoning means we know that water flows from high to lower. So suppose I am going to check on this. Okay, so this is my level place. If I put a water on this, it will not fall, okay, because it is straight. But suppose I tilt it little, water will start flowing, right? So water is flowing when I tilt it. So that is called qualitative. And quantitative means how much I should tilt it or what angle I should tilt it so that water will flow with how much speed. Okay, so all that is called your quantitative reasoning. 4th step is mathematical modeling. In this we have to form mathematical formula. And using this mathematical formula we have to, next step is prediction. Let us take one example. You know one formula. I will take from known formula. F is equal to m into a. Okay, force, mass, acceleration, right? So we know this. Now suppose I have got an object of mass 1 kg. Okay, and suppose we apply the force of 5 Newton. Then we know what will be the acceleration, right? If you transfer 1 here, 5. So it will be 5, and the unit of acceleration is meter per second square. Okay, so the acceleration on our object of mass 1 kg, if the force is applied 5 Newton, then acceleration will be 5 meter per second square. Okay, so this I can predict. Okay, without doing it, I am predicting it because I am using this result. I am using the mathematical formula. So using this I can predict it. Okay, so we can do the prediction. Now we do practically whether it is true or false. Okay, so when we do it practically and we check it, so if it is true, that means it is verified. Suppose it is not true, that means it is falsification. If it is verification, then it will be the theory is accepted, and if it is falsification, then you have to start with the step 1. Okay, start with the step 1, 2, 3 and then follow the same thing. So this is the scientific method, and since physics is a part of a science, we also have got the same steps. Now there is one more thing in physics is there is no final theory in science. Sorry, it is in a science. Okay, there is no final theory in science. That means what is discovered before 100 years can be changed now, or what we discovered now can be have change or alteration after 100 years or after 10 years. So it is not fixed. Okay, so there is no final theory in science. For example, there was a thing that light has got a wave nature. Okay, but this failed to explain the photoelectric effect. properly. Okay, so first it was considered that light is a wave, but in the photoelectric effect it was not able, with this wave nature it was not able to explain. So what happened, because of this the theory was wave nature, but then again in photoelectric effect it was not useful, so they said that light has got two natures, the dual nature. Okay, and with this, with the photoelectric effect, we started quantum mechanics. So we say that there is no final theory in science. Now we have got principal thrust in physics. Okay, we have got two principal thrusts in physics. One is unification and second is reduction. Unification means in physics we attempt to explain diverse physical phenomena in terms of a few concepts and laws. That means not having so many laws but having only few laws. Okay, trying to make it a few laws. For example, motion of a moon around the earth, planets around the sun. So now you know that, see, you know that moon is orbiting around the earth. Okay, so you know what force is between them, that is gravitational force. Now we know that planets are also revolving around the sun, so there will be some other force, but no, it is not that. Okay, we say that this also is a gravitational force. Same way we saw that Sir Isaac Newton said that apple falls from the tree to the ground. Why? Because there is gravitational force. So there are many things which are given by one law. Okay, and we will see that in nature there are four fundamental laws. Okay, that we'll see the later on. So we say that the unification is not having so many laws and so many concepts, but trying to make it as simple as possible, as less as possible. Okay, so that is called your unification. And reduction, to derive the properties of a bigger, more complex system from the properties and interactions of its constituent simpler parts. So this means we are going to break any bigger or complex system into smaller part and study that. Okay, not having the full thing, but we break into smaller parts. Okay, not total but break into small and study it. Scope and excitement of physics, the total spread of phenomena, dimensions and measurement that we study in physics is called scope of the physics. Okay, so we can say this is what we study in the physics. The phenomena, the dimension, the measurement, all these come under the scope of the physics. And the scope of the physics are divided into two domains. Okay, I have written here there are two domains. One is microscopic and one is macroscopic. Okay, these are the two domains, and under this domain comes quantum physics and this comes classical physics. In quantum physics we study about atomic, molecular, nuclear, the tiny things, okay, the minute things. And in classical physics, mechanics, electrodynamics, optics, thermodynamics, all these come under classical physics or under the macroscopy. And now there is one more domain between these two, that is called mesoscopy. In this there are hundreds of atoms together. Okay, so this is one between this has come newly. The scope of physics covers tremendous range of physical quantities in length, mass and time. So we shall study now in length, mass and time how it is spread. Okay, how far it is spread. So let us study this. So length is 10 to the power minus 14 meter to 10 to the power 26 meter. Okay, so difference between these is more than 10 to the power 40. So it is so vast. Okay, the length is so vast. 10 power minus 40 means it is very tiny. Okay, and in this like electron, proton, etc. come under this. Okay, the tiny elements, and this 10 to the power 26 is very high. Okay, you can see how many zeros you have to put to the 10. Okay, and it is like spread of universe, the span of universe, how spreading of the universe. Okay, how large is the universe. Mass that is 10 to the power minus 30 kg, that is mass of electron, to 10 to the power 55 kg, that is mass of known observable universe. So in the mass also it is very vast. Okay, see 10 power minus 30 means very tiny, and 10 power 55 means it is very large. In time, 10 power minus 22 second to 10 to the power 18 second. So this is the speed of light in you can say nucleus, and this is a like you can say life of a sun. Okay, or where it reaches speed of light from nucleus to span of sun life. So you can see that there is a vast difference between in time, mass and length. So it is spread very vast. So that is scope of the physics. Now let's see excitement of physics. The discoveries and inventions of physics are excitement of physics. So the discoveries, we see that around us, so many things are newly discovered, the technology. So all these are excitement of the physics. Okay, just I have given 2-3 examples. Useful devices, you know which are the useful devices. Cell phones are there, computers are there, many other things are there through technology. Conversion of solar energy, geothermal energy into electricity, etc. This you can write your own also, because you can see many things which are in existence because of the physics or physical laws. Now, as I say, we studied that there is unification. Okay, we studied that the principal thrust of physics is unification and reduction. So, for the sake of unification, we say that there should be few concepts and laws. So now we study the 4 fundamental laws which are existing in the nature. Okay, the fundamental forces in nature. So number 1 is gravitational force. So we know, see, we have studied all these, not all these, but we have studied gravitational force in class 9, and other things we may study later on. Okay, so we are not going into detail, but just glimpse of it. So first is gravitational force. Gravitational force is between the two board object which has got a mass. Okay, we know that part, and you know the formula also, F is equal to G m1 m2 by r square. So I have written here force of a mutual attraction. So it is attractive force. Mutual means one body gives attraction to other. So mutual attraction between any two objects by virtue of their mass. So if there are two bodies having mass m1 and m2, then there is a attractive force, and it is always attractive. Okay, and the features of these are universal. This is universal force. It is large range. Then it is also useful, or happen because of this force we can see that there is formation and evolution of stars, galaxies, and galactic clusters. Okay, so this is just short way we are learning. We have got one full chapter on gravitation, chapter chapter 8 I think it is. Number 2, electromagnetic force. This force is between two charges, okay, two charged particles. So force between two charged particles. We know this, if positive same charge, then it will have repulsion. If it is opposite charge, then it will have attraction. So the first one was only attractive force, okay, but this one is both attractive and repulsive. So attractive for unlike charges and repulsive for like charges. Charges in motion produces magnetic effect which gives rise to force on moving charges. So if charge is moving, then there will be magnetic effect or magnetic force, and because of that there will be force on a moving charge. And this equation is given by Coulomb's law, okay, that we study in class 12, and that equation is by Coulomb's law. It is F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q1 q2 by r square. q1 and q2 are the two charges. If they are like charge, there will be repulsive force, and if there is a unlike charges, then there will be attraction. These also are large range. Okay, this also was large range. This is weak force, but this is stronger force. Okay, this is large range and it is stronger than gravitational force. Number 3 is strong nuclear force. It binds proton and neutron in a nucleus. Now see, this one we can just think that here proton and neutron. So now proton and neutron has got no charge, but proton has got a charge. Suppose I'll just draw a nucleus. Okay, this is not a nucleus, just I am drawing a small figure, just a figure. It should be very, very tiny. You know that nucleus is very tiny. It has got a proton, right? Proton has got positively charged. Now you can see that proton, if this is, we know that if they are positively charged, then there will be repulsive force, right? So that means this has to go out, okay, and break the nucleus, right? But it is not happening. Why not happening? Because there is another force acting here, and that force is the strong nuclear force. Okay, because we know that there are protons are positively charged. If positively charged, that means there should be repulsive force, so it should go away. Okay, but it is not happening. Why? Because there is another force, and that force is called strong nuclear force, which is not allowing the nucleus to simply break down. Okay, so that's why it is written as it binds proton and neutrons in a nucleus. It is 100 times the electromagnetic force, so it is very, very strong. The charge independent, it is charge independent, and the range is extremely small, about nuclear dimension 10 power minus 15 meters. So it is not like the other two. Okay, other two are the large range forces. okay, but this is very small range, 10 to the power minus 15, because it is in the nucleus, okay, it is not outside, so it is in nucleus, so it is very small range, 10 power minus 15 meter. Stability of nuclei, so it is responsible for stability of nuclei, otherwise this nucleus will break, okay, but it is not breaking. Why? Because of the strong nuclear force, so it is the reason, or because of this the nuclei is stable. Electron does not experience this force, and electron will not experience the strong nuclear force. Number 4, weak nuclear force. In certain nuclear processes such as beta decay of a nucleus, in beta decay, nucleus emits an electron and an uncharged particle, neutrino. There is a weak nuclear force. Now suppose there are some radioactive substance, okay, we have studied, you have studied maybe little bit, we will study in class 12. So there is a, if this is the radioactive substance, then the beta decay will be there, okay. Beta decay means it is electron coming out, emitted. When electron is emitted, there is another uncharged particle also is emitted, that is called neutrino, okay, the name is written here, that is called neutrino, and there is force between these two, okay, there is a force between these two, that force is your weak nuclear force, okay. So this is we will study later in class 12 the weak nuclear force, that is, I mean to say, beta decay. It happens only in some materials, okay, in some nuclear, not everywhere. So these are the 4 forces. The range of these is also extremely small, and it is order of 10 to the power minus 16 meters. So range is small. So these are the forces. Now next we have got the last topic in this chapter, nature of physical laws. The laws of nature are the same everywhere in the universe. So the laws will not change. Suppose you are doing any experiment today, okay, and after 1 year you are going to do the same experiment in the same conditions, then it will not, the result will be the same, okay, so it will not change, okay. That is what it means, that the laws of nature are the same everywhere in the universe, at any time it will not change. And we have got conservation of laws. We have got 4 conservation of laws. One is conservation of energy, charge, momentum. This momentum have got 2 parts, one is linear momentum and angular momentum. Let us see this conservation of laws. Energy, the energy always remains conserved. You know what do you mean by conserved? That is, neither can be created nor destroyed, but transferred from one form to another. Number 2 is charge. The charge can be distributed between the different bodies, but it cannot be created or destroyed. Number 3, momentum. This has got 2 parts. One is for the linear motion, one is for the rotational motion. In linear motion, in the absence of external force, the linear momentum remains conserved. In rotational motion, in the absence of the torque, the angular momentum remains conserved. Okay, we shall study this later on. So this is this is the shortest chapter actually. So we have completed this chapter 1. In this, we shall do next chapter 2. Thank you very much.